everybody. Today's session is on IELTS speaking format. This is because of the request that I've had for IELTS speaking format. As always, if you have any comments, if you want any topic to be covered during the lessons, write down in the comment section, so I will hopefully cover it for you. So let's continue. IELTS speaking is one-on-one interaction with a candidate. So there are two people. There is the candidate and the examiner. IELTS speaking has three parts, and they are all for different set of skills. IELTS speaking is recorded. So if you ever have any problems with speaking, let's say you got a score and that was not the score that you expected, the score should have been higher, you can always check with the IELTS examining center, and they would be able to go through your IELTS test again and see if the score was rightly given to you or wrongly given to you. And the reason they can do this is because they have recording. So your IELTS speaking is recorded. Just remember this in case you have any problems with the IELTS test. So the timing is 11 to 14 minutes. It depends on how much you speak. And the candidates are assessed of their performance throughout the test. So you have three tasks and your performance is assessed throughout the tasks. So all the three tasks are assessed. Now, the first task is the introduction, where you have the introduction and the first interview. It is roughly 4 to 5 minutes. You introduce yourself, and obviously your identity is checked. And then the examiner will ask questions that are very familiar about familiar topics. It's generally a task which is not very stressful because the topics are about familiar topics, something which you are aware of. Now, the second part of it, the second part of the speaking is a long turn, which is 3 to 4 minutes. Now, in this, during this task, the candidate will have a topic task, so you'll be getting a topic, and then you'll have 1 minute time to prepare and make notes, and then you'll be speaking for around 1 or 2 minutes. But the important thing here is that you speak without a break. So this is why this is called long turn, because you continue speaking about one specific topic. And then there is a discussion, which is task number 3. So the discussion is 4 to 5 minutes again, and is a discussion, so it's you and the examiner together. The examiner will be discussing about part 2. Aspects of the topic in part 2, and we'll go more in details about the topic. So these are the parts of the IELTS. Now I will explain to you some descriptions of each IELTS task. So as I said, there are 3 parts. The first one, the second, and the third. First one is 3 to 4 minutes. The other 4 to 5. Task 3. 4 to 5 in total, 11 to 14 minutes. So the task description, the first one, you are, as I said, is a general topic, is something about your, the examiner will introduce himself or herself, and then the examiner will check your identity. Then we'll ask you something about familiar topics, friends, hobbies, food, and generally the examiner will have a frame, so he or she will be checking your order of the sentences of the conversation, the interview. Very important here is communicate opinions and information. So whatever you want to say, communicate it clearly. As always, clarity is the most important. So communicate clearly. And as I said, it's generally about everyday topics, so common experiences, situations, so nothing unusual. It's just what you know, what you can speak about. And you'll have to answer a range of questions, so the examiner will have a set of questions and will be asking these questions to you. So this is task 1. Task 2 is when you have one card and you will speak about that card. And it's about one specific topic, and you'll be using prompts. The card will have some prompts, will give you some ideas on what to say, and then you can think about what to say. You need to keep talking for 1 or 2 minutes. 2 minutes is always better, and very, very important, make notes before you speak so you know what you are going to talk about and you have an idea of the structure. What do you have to remember is that the examiner may stop you after 2 minutes. So if you have spoken for 2 minutes, the examiner may stop you and will ask you a question to just round off the long term so it doesn't continue forever. Important here, ability to speak at a length. So you need to speak. Language organization, so sentences should be connected. Like in writing, sentence 1, 2, and 3 are connected. In a paragraph, even when we speak, sentences should be connected. And very, very important, talk about your experience. So talk about something which you know well. And just basically talk about the experience connected with the topic. And task in part 3 of the task is here the examiner will ask questions about part 2, just more in general and more in abstract ways. So you'll have bigger words here, more difficult words, and you'll have more complex words. And the examiner will try to go into more depth. So let's say, for example, if task 2 was about your neighborhood, examiner in task 3 would go more into the depth of the neighborhood. It might ask questions about what is a neighborhood in your terms. It means an abstract notion of neighborhood, and why is neighborhood important? Things which need analysis and discussion. And it's very important to speculate. So basically, you have sentences like it might be considered, or as many people say, basically sentences which allow the examiner to speculate your understanding. And the examiner can ask you questions, and if you know how to answer questions, then you will be able to express your opinion correctly. So if the examiner asks you about what is so special about your neighborhood, you should be able to explain specific things that your neighborhood has which justify your opinion. So let's say if you are talking about your neighborhood being special because it has a park, that is a very substantial thing. But if you are saying that the neighborhood is good because it has coffee shops and yet I never drink coffee, then that is not substantial because you don't drink coffee. So why is it important to you? What you need to always do are all these. So you should do, these are the do's of examiner. So you should always, during the exam, you should feel involved in conversation, talk to the examiner, listen carefully. If you don't understand something, try to respond as you can understand. You can ask for clarification, but not much. And answer the questions, but give details and focus on what you are asked. Just talk about what you are asked. Practice speaking for 2 minutes for the long part in part 2. So at home, in front of your phone, record your voice and start speaking for about one specific topic. And use the preparation time in part 2 to think about what is written on the card that the examiner has. If you don't have it, he or she has it. And organize your turn next. So in task 3, organize the discussion. Focus on what you're saying, so you know what to say next. Very, very important, practice way of delaying answers. So when you delay your answer, then you tell yourself that you basically give time to yourself to think. So let's say if the examiner is asking you a question, then you can always say that that's a good thing to, that's a very nice topic, and meanwhile you think about what to answer. Explain your opinion, and as I said, give examples. So if you are giving an example, that example should be logical. If you like something, you give that as an example. If you don't like it, then you just explain that you don't like it and give it as an example. So all of these are IELTS do's. So something you need to do when you go for an IELTS test. IELTS don'ts. Never learn answers by heart. It doesn't work like that. The examiners can always interrupt you, so it's not worth it that you remember. In the 2 minutes, speak for 2 minutes. Do not give short answers. In part 3, expect a short answer and only expect a short answer to his or her question. So you just give short answers in part 3. Part 2, no long answers. Long answer, talk for 2 minutes. In part 3, talk about what you spoke in part 2, but go in more details. Listen to the examiner. Do not worry if the examiner stops you. It means you have spoken enough, so don't worry. He or she will keep your timing, so he or she will know what time to stop you. Don't worry if you cannot understand a word. Try to paraphrase, get around it. Don't write on the task card. Don't worry if you have made a mistake. It's okay. Just move on. If you can correct yourself, okay. Otherwise, don't worry. Continue. And don't ask the examiner if something that you're saying is correct, because they'll never tell you. So these are all the information that you need for your speaking test. Good luck with your IELTS test. Follow more for IELTS tips and lessons. See you in the next session. Bye-bye.